Have you ever noticed someone who never posts photos on social media? They don't show their achievements,
upload selfies, or announce their celebrations. In a digital culture where the world screams, "Look at me," these people almost seem invisible. But behind that silence, there's more than you imagine. Today, I want to show you the biblical perspective on Christians who don't post photos on social media.
And after watching this video, you'll never see them the same way again.
1. They guard their testimony. When a Christian decides not to share everything online,
It's not out of shyness, but out of prudence. They know their life no longer belongs to them because they represent Christ in every word, every photo, and every gesture. Proverbs 22:1 says, "A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches."
And that also includes digital reputation. Not everything we live needs to be shown.
Because what seems harmless today can become a stumbling block for someone else. A mature believer understands that testimony is worth more than likes, and a single post can destroy what years of integrity have built. Guarding your testimony isn't about being religious, it's about being wise.
in a world that exposes everything without filters, silence becomes a form of discernment.
Many believe transparency means sharing it all, but the wise know some things are meant to stay between them and God.
When someone sees your social media, they're seeing a piece of your faith. And if your faith doesn't edify, and it confuses. That's why those who refrain from posting without purpose show maturity. They've understood that their image isn't what matters,
but acting with integrity, even when no one is watching.
2. They live to please God, not the algorithm. Many people live enslaved to algorithms, chasing likes, visibility, and approval,
as if the value of their convictions depended on how many people see them. But a person with strong principles doesn't seek to please the public.
They seek to align with their core principles. Ancient wisdom encourages us not to conform to the patterns of this world, and that includes the patterns of social media. It's not about being relevant online, but obedient in secret.
Those who live for God know His approval is worth more than any statistic. When the algorithm changes, attention fades.
But when you live for Christ, the reward remains.
Sometimes we think posting more means having more influence.
But there's a big difference between impact and likes. God didn't call you to be viral. He called you to be faithful.
A Christian who chooses silence, limits their exposure, or doesn't depend on a screen shows that their identity is not built on human approval,
but on divine obedience. And even if the world doesn't understand it, God does, and that's enough. If you've made it this far, it's no coincidence God is speaking to you.
Please subscribe to my channel, Faith Unmasked.
3. Their identity is in Christ, not in social validation. Many people measure their worth by the number of red hearts they receive, as if likes could fill the emptiness of the soul. But a true Christian knows their identity isn't built on a profile,
but on a cross. In Galatians, it says that we have been crucified with Christ, and that we no longer live for ourselves, but for Him. Posting to be seen is falling into the trap of human approval.
and that approval is as unstable as the wind. Today they admire you, tomorrow they forget you.
But those who seek to please God are never outside of His gaze. The world says, show who you are.
But Christ says, let me show who I am in you. That's the difference between a superficial life and a transformed one.
When your worth depends on others' reactions, you become a slave to image.
But when you know who you are in Christ, you don't need to prove anything. Not posting isn't insecurity, it's freedom. It reflects someone who understands that true validation doesn't come from a screen. It comes from heaven.
4. A heart that doesn't need to fix its problems publicly.
Today, many turn social media into a public confessional, seeking comfort in empty comments or approval disguised as empathy. Seeking comfort in empty comments or approval disguised as empathy. But a mature heart doesn't need to expose its pain to feel accompanied.
It brings it to the feet of Christ. In the Psalms, David didn't post his sadness. He poured it out before God in prayer.
Some battles aren't won with public words, but with private tears. When someone chooses to keep silent about their struggles and surrender them secretly to the Lord, they show that their trust is in the one who can truly heal. Jesus taught that when you pray, you should enter your room and close the door, for your Father who sees in secret will reward you. That teaching applies to the digital world too.
Not everything should be shared, and not everyone needs to comment on your process.
Those who don't need to fix their lives publicly reveal spiritual maturity. They've understood that exposure doesn't bring deliverance, and applause doesn't bring healing. What God works in secret has more power.
5. Their humility triumphs over self-promotion. In a generation where everyone wants to be seen, stand out, and be the center of attention,
Humility has become countercultural. But a Christian doesn't seek admiration. They strive for exemplary conduct. It is often understood that arrogance can be a barrier, while a humble approach tends to foster. Not posting photos doesn't mean a lack of confidence. It's self-control. It's the heart saying, I don't need to prove anything to feel valuable. While the world seeks applause, the believer seeks to please heaven. True greatness isn't shown, it's lived. Self-promotion is the modern disguise of pride. It's that subtle desire to say, look at me, I'm doing well. I'm successful, I have faith. But Jesus never sought attention, he sought to serve. Those who choose humility over exposure are walking the Master's path. In Philippians, we're reminded that Christ,
Being God, humbled himself. And if he did it, who are we to need to be the center?
humility doesn't make you invisible. It makes you more like Jesus.
6. Protection of privacy and contentment.
Some think that not showing their life means distrust, but often it's wisdom. Not everything should be exposed, and not everyone needs to know everything. Proverbs says that the prudent see danger and take refuge.
And that includes digital traps. Guarding your privacy isn't fear, it's discernment.
Social media is a showcase for comparison, and those who live comparing themselves end up frustrated.
The Christian who chooses to keep their intimacy private shows that their satisfaction isn't in impressing others, but in living in peace.
Contentment doesn't need an audience. Paul said, "I have learned to be content in whatever circumstance I am."
That lesson has a modern version today, learning to enjoy without posting. Those who live in gratitude don't seek external validation,
Because they already have internal joy. Not posting can be a way of saying,
I'm fine, and I don't need to prove it. The one who protects their privacy also protects their heart. And those who are content with what they have live free from the digital noise that distracts from eternal purpose.
7. They practice the principle of secrecy.
Jesus was clear in his teaching. Deeds born from the heart don't need a stage. Give or fast, do it in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you.
Today, many seek that reward in the form of likes and human approval. But the mature Christian understands that authentic faith doesn't need publicity.
Some acts lose their power when displayed. What you do in secret, and God sees from above.
And what others don't see, the universe observes. Practicing the principle of secrecy in a world that shares everything
Is a mark of spiritual maturity. Not showing it all doesn't make you a hypocrite. It makes you wise.
because not everything holy needs to be visible, and not everything visible is holy. The believer who learns to live without showcasing their faith proves that their relationship with God is real, not performative. They understand that their greatest reward won't come from a reaction on a screen, but from the Father's voice saying,
"Well done, good and faithful servant."
Don't judge them for their silence, because that silence may be the fruit of wisdom, not pride.
Many live showing what they do, but few show who they are.
And the truth is, we don't know the story behind every decision.
Some have simply understood that the presence of God is worth more than digital presence, and that some things remain purer when they're not exposed.
If this message spoke to you, share it. And if you haven't yet,
Subscribe to Faith Unmasked, where every video challenges, awakens, and draws you closer to God.
So, there you have it. Maybe it's time we all took a step back from the endless scroll and remembered what truly matters. It's not